So the biggest thing related to the agricultural water rule is that it's yet to be finalized by the FDA. And so the recommendations that we're giving is, if you haven't started testing your water yet, to go out to start collecting samples so that you could better understand your water source. Luckily for a lot of growers, they've already been testing water for a long time. So hopefully this proposed rule in the future will be fairly easy to apply for and to be able to meet those standards. So the biggest things on an on-farm readiness review that we're going to be coming and asking you about, what is your water source? How are you confirming that that's your water source? Are you a surface water? Are you groundwater? Or are you a municipal system? And how you'll be able to document that. Depending upon your water source, you're going to have different testing schemes under the produce safety rule. So for a surface water source, you need to collect 20 samples over a 2 to 4 year period. For a groundwater source, you're going to need to take 5 samples over a 1 year period. So we'll ask you questions about who's collecting your water samples. Are they trained to collect water samples aseptically or using aseptic technique? And then ultimately, if you're submitting them to a laboratory, is the laboratory using one of the approved methods under the produce safety rule? Once you've gotten your data back and you've been able to verify all of those things under the produce safety rule, we're going to be able to ask you questions about your data. How are you managing your data? How are you working towards understanding what we call your geometric mean or your statistical threshold value? So those are the 2 metrics values under the proposed produce safety rule that you would have to be able to meet. So we'll ask you, how are you documenting your data? What are the tools that you're using? What are the calculations that you're able to come away from? The biggest thing, lastly, is related to corrective actions. So do you have an SOP in place that says, if my water source is not meeting those specific standards by the proposed produce safety rule, what are the measures to take? So right now there's 3 allowable. The first is to discontinue use of that water source. The second is to treat your water, and then the third is related to die-off, bacterial die-off in the water. So related to treatment, the biggest things that we're telling people to think about is being able to document or to verify that your treatment process is working appropriately. And that can be through the use of a test strip, for example, for chlorination or peroxide, if those are your treatment methods. In addition to verifying your method, you want to be able to take a water sample post-treatment, so someplace after the treatment, to verify your microbial water quality is meeting those standards. Related to the die-off, the produce safety rule states you have 0.5 log die-off per day for up to 4 days. So again, on an on-farm readiness review, if we're looking for documentation of that corrective action, if you're not meeting that standard, how many days are you needing to wait before harvest, after that irrigation purpose, and are you documenting that, and can we verify that? The very last thing that we are looking for on an on-farm readiness review is related to the inspection of your water source. So a lot of times in different industries, we might call this the Sanitary Survey. And basically what that is just being able to go out to document your water source and to be able to look for things like animal intrusion or runoff or debris, and basically having a log or corrective action log that talks about, if we see something, what is the corrective action, and then ultimately what we're verifying at the end.